And my son, he kind of discovered, he said, Dad, silver dragons are the dragon that likes people. They're the dragon that likes to collect communities of people around him and take care of people. And then he said, you know what? You're the silver dragon. That's what you're doing. You're setting up a place for people to come. You're setting up a place that we're going to take care of and grow and make it amazing for people that don't have a place like this. And so we landed on Silver Dragon Games because our core mission is to do that very thing.
So what we'll start off with, Scott, is we'll discuss the beginnings of Silver Dragon Games. And obviously there's an origin to that, but if you could tell us a little bit about your upbringing with games and how that transpired to eventually owning a store.
No, sure. I'd be happy to. It's funny. The origin of Silver Dragon comes from the fact that, this is after 37 years, I decided to retire. And at the, towards the end, I needed something to go to. And so as a family, we got together and we talked about what should I do? And the idea was that, I couldn't sit around and do nothing. So we had kind of a family meeting and we talked about, well, we've never done a business. Let's try family business. And my son, he said, Dad, we should start a gaming store. Because I've been a gamer since basically the beginning of time, right? I started playing D&D in 1980. And it's something that I've enjoyed, something I've loved. And gaming's just been part of our life. And as my kids grew up, it really was part of how we stayed connected. And even to this day, my older children, we stay very connected to gaming, especially my older son. But so we decided to try a gaming store. But when we were talking about that, I said, I don't want to do just a gaming store. I don't want to get some tables, put some cards out there and some chairs and just play. I want to do something different. And I related back to an experience that I saw my wife, Debbie, have, who she discovered D&D about 7 or 8 years ago and fell in love with it. So much so that she would drag me down to the local gaming store. We'd get miniatures and she'd paint them. And every time we play a new game, my son and his friends would make up new characters that had, that they knew I didn't have miniatures for. And so she would drag me back to the gaming store. But what I saw was that she liked going to buy miniatures, but she didn't want to spend any time in the gaming store. And it took me a little while to figure out what was going on. So at one point we tried to go in there with my daughter and my wife, and they just didn't enjoy the experience. And so you fast forward to when we decided to open the business. And one of the key things that was very important to me is that we created a store so that everybody that walked in there was comfortable and they were welcome. Because I realized that especially ladies in gaming, it's getting better, but it's still not where it should be. And, there have been some experiences where, I talk to ladies all the time. They just don't know how to get into gaming, or they just don't like the vibe of a gaming store. And so, when we decided to start Silver Dragon, the key vision here was to create a store for women. We're going to create the store so that if a lady comes in the store, she knows immediately this is a great place, it's a safe place, she's welcome, and we break all the barriers down of entry into a gaming store, gaming industry, or some type of game that she wants to learn how to play. And what we found is that by focusing in on all of our design elements, which, by the way, when we designed the store, my wife, our interior designer, we had a group of women that had veto rights on any design decision that we made. And as a result, we've created a store that it's very, very open when you walk in. The first thing you see is on the back of the wall a 15-foot tall silver dragon with a strong female hero flying over top of that dragon. And we put a lot of design elements into the store so that especially women know that this is a safe place and it's a great place to come and play. And we just incorporated that vision and concept into everything we do. So as a company, we only have 2 values: embrace diversity and do the right thing. Every customer that comes in our store, they get greeted. We engage with them. We talk to them. And what we found is there's a lot of people like, I've heard about D&D. I've watched the movie, or I watched Stranger Things, or this Warhammer thing. I'm seeing more about it with Henry Cavill. or I hear about Pokemon or whatever, but I don't understand how to get into a community. And so we're creating a community space. And that really was the origin of Silver Dragon, is we wanted to create a third place. We wanted to create a third place for people that, they could find like-minded people that focus around having a great time when they play, that it's all about positive play at the table, and it's just great people to play with. And so that was the beginnings of the journey of Silver Dragon Games, to create a store so that everybody that walks in the door knows it's clean, it's open, it's welcoming. If you don't know how to play, that's okay. We'll teach you how to play. We have classes for New Player Workshop. We'll teach you how to play Pokemon. We'll teach you how to play Warhammer. If you want to play a game, we'll show you how to play the game. And then we have a huge community of players that come back into the store again and again and again. So our Discord, it's an invitation-only Discord. We have over probably coming up on 2,500 people that are in our Discord, and that's our community. And they're in there 24/7. And it's whether they're talking about their D&D games or their pets or the food they had or if they went on a trip. It's really become a community space because, again, for us, it's not about selling great retail. Sure, we have awesome retail. We've got some of the greatest, games out there. We really focus in 3 segments on TCGs, D&D, and in Warhammer. Matter of fact, in D&D, we consider ourselves to be Arizona's best D&D store. But it's not just about the retail. Or we also have an immersive tavern. You can come in and get a glass of mead, sit at a table, play a D&D game in our space. And we do a lot with the immersion because the decor is amazing. Not only do we have, dragons everywhere and strong women, but we also have a fireplace behind one of the tables. We have the tavern. It's just a beautiful store. But more importantly, it's about the great people you get to sit and play with. And it's about creating a community of people that are just people that we want to play with. And that's really the secret behind, I think, the success of what we've been able to do since the beginning. We've been open since October 7th, 22, so it's been about 2.25 years that we've been open. And we have a growing community. We grow year over year. We grew 25% last year. This year looks to be the same. We're full more nights than we're not. We have big social events. I was talking about D&D, which is a segment of ours that's important. But we'll run big D&D events, and we'll have 140 people cycle through the store throughout the day. We'll run 22 games that day and just have a great time. But at the heart of it is this idea of just come in and be nice and play and have fun. And what we found is there's a lot of people that's what they want to do. And so that's kind of the origin of the business model, right? Think about it. So we run the retail space, which is very important to us. We have an event management space, a business that, where we coordinate events every day, big events every weekend, multiple events all weekend long. And then we have the tavern. And those are the 3 kind of business models that we're running that intersect to support the community that is our Silver Dragon Games customer. But when you think about, a great fun place, we were talking about, well, what should we call it? And, we were looking at different names, and we came across the Silver Dragon. And my son, he kind of discovered it. He said, Dad, Silver Dragons are the dragon that likes people. They're the dragon that likes to collect communities of people around him and take care of people. And then he said, you know what? You're the Silver Dragon. That's what you're doing. You're setting up a place for people to come. You're setting up a place that we're going to take care of and grow and make it amazing for people that don't have a place like this. And so we landed on Silver Dragon Games because our core mission is to do that very thing, grow a community and have it be good and positive for people. And we've seen that. When we opened the store, it was right on the backs of COVID. And we saw a lot of people didn't know how to connect, not just kids. I saw a lot of kids that didn't know how to talk to people. But I saw a lot of adults that didn't know how to talk to people either, and they just weren't comfortable. And we wanted to create a place where they could come in and connect back with people using gaming as a way to make that connection. And we've seen it, and we've seen people come in. I know there's a good friend of ours who came in within a week of the store opening, and they sat down at the table. They bought a hat. They sat at the table and they said, "I'm never leaving," and they haven't. And they've now told me that they have more friends than they've ever had. They've never had a friend group as rich as the ones they have. I think they've met their future partner. It's great to see people thrive in an environment when you set up a community space like they have. And so that's kind of the heart of the business model, right? So you've got the three businesses that all support that community, but you have to have great retail, you have to have great customer service, you have to be very operationally excellent when it comes to supporting our customers, whether it's what we bring in for them to buy or the events that we run. And then the tavern is just super fun. I mean, we have a great partnership with a local meadery. They have a D&D line of meat that's amazing. And more importantly, they made an exclusive meat just for us, the Silver Dragon meat. And in my opinion, it also happens to be the best meat to make, which is also fantastic. So if you ever get a chance to come out and visit us, you've got to try the Silver Dragon meat. It is by far the best meat that I've ever had. And our friends at Scale and Feather did an amazing job creating that for us.
Absolutely. I definitely want to come check out the store. And I like that you opened the store with a tavern. And, I know there are some stores that do that, not many that I've talked to thus far yet. There's been a couple here and there who do have that. And I think it's a great amenity to have. Was that always in the vision from the get-go that you wanted to incorporate a tavern into the store?
It was when we were looking at different things to do. We were exploring different models, and there's a lot of the have coffee and play board games, or we went and visited a gaming store. And I have to say, by the way, a lot of what we're doing are built on the best practices of gaming stores around the country and in North America. And some of we were blessed by being able to talk to a lot of different store owners and getting their feedback and input. And we've had a lot of them were great about sharing everything that they do. And we saw a gaming store that had a full-on tavern in the back, and we thought that's great. And it fits right within the theme of what we're trying to do. If you think about coming into a store and you've got this immersive tavern feel, it should have a tavern. And so we went ahead and put that in, and we didn't have it open day one because of the licensing and the leasing. So there were business things, but it came in about 6 months after we opened. But it was always in the vision from day one when we opened the doors on October 7th that we were going to put the bar in. We had built it out, plumbed it out in construction, but we just had to get the licensing done. And then we brought it in, and it's been fun because what we've done is work with local meaderies, local brew houses, breweries. And that's been great because just the local businesses that we get a chance to partner with, we've met some awesome people and they do some great things. And it's just been fun to work with partners like our friends at Scale and Feather or Bonehouse Brewing. Those are two places that really at the very beginning were right there with us.
That's phenomenal that you're able to have that collaboration amongst other businesses in the area to help them out as well. When I'm looking at something of the nature of what you're doing, and then with the tavern, outside of, the costs involved with having a tavern, biggest hurdle come the licensing and the regulations. Is that like the biggest barrier to putting something like that together?
Well, I think a lot of it depends on where you live. It all seems daunting, but it's just like negotiating a lease on the property. You just have to understand the rules. And so for us here in Arizona, I had to learn the environment and what did the state of Arizona look for, what did the city of Peoria look for. And then I engaged there are licensing agents that you can go work with that'll help you through the process. But the reality is it's navigating any licensing just like you do in getting a CFO to open your store or some other kind of health inspection license. You just have to understand the steps. These just happen to have a little more complexity associated with them. And then the actual obtaining the license, that's also a process. And it is lengthier than just like setting up a distribution account with somebody. And so it does take time, and you just have to plan for that time, which is why we made the decision, we knew we weren't going to have the licensing and all the lease items cleared by the time we wanted to open. And I didn't want to miss that holiday season. And so I made the decision to launch without that element, right? Even though we built for it in the construction, we planned for it, and then introduce the alcohol side of it as we got the licensing done, we got all the approvals, and we went through, city council and all that. So it's just a project. For us, it was. But again, it all depends on the state you live in. Some states can be very complex, and state law can be very challenging. There's tax elements to it you have to pay attention to. And then there's the purchasing of the actual license itself. So there's just a lot to navigate, but it's doable. And, if you understand what you want to do, but you also you need to have a reason for doing it, right? For us, it's supplemental to the experience of the immersive gaming experience that we have at the table. And then it's just fun, right? There's a lot of legal things you have to pay attention to when you bring alcohol into a store, into a place. And we went through, I personally did go through 15 hours of required training to be able to pass tests, to be able to say, yes, I'm certified to be able to have alcohol in my store. So it's a lot of work, but once you get it and you really pay attention to running it the right way, then it's a really good additive thing to your store.
Would you say I know it's one of the aspects of your business, is the more profitable side still lean towards the gaming?
So for us, I think it's because we put the bar in second, like on the second phase, it's more of an additive for us. And it was never designed to be like the main feature of the store, right? So, we didn't want to necessarily set it up so that the bar was the main front feature. You go there to get a drink and play some games, right? It's the inverse, which is you go to Silver Dragon to play awesome games and also have a beer or a mead or something like that, while you're playing. And then if you like it, you buy a bottle, take it home. It becomes part of a retail. But so it's more of a supportive thing than a main line. I know some businesses, it's the inverse, where, whether it's the bar or the coffee or whatever is the food, that's the main piece, and then the gaming is supportive. We're the other way.
You made a mention to it earlier, which was when you got the idea for it is from visiting other game stores. And one thing I've noticed about this industry compared to, say, other industries is the collaboration and the willingness to help one another. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One, we're all in the same industry, and it's hard. And so finding like-minded people to be able to talk to and show what you're working on and show what you're doing, I think is very helpful. Well, we're all gamers, which means we all like to play and be around people. And, and it's a tough business. But, and that, I would say for us, for example, Gamma, we'll be at Gamma in February. And we've been invited to speak at Gamma and talk about our story.
Oh, awesome.
Because our story was heavily influenced by Gamma. And that's one of the things that my son and I are going to be presenting. And I talk a lot about Mike, but it's really my wife, Debbie, and I, and then my son, Michael, are kind of the key three founders of the company. So Mike and I are going to be talking at Gamma about our Silver Dragon story, which was heavily influenced. Like the business model we have today, when we showed up at our first Gamma, it was a year before we opened, and we were doing due diligence and research. We went to Gamma, and because the local gaming store we were playing at suggested we go. And it was the best decision we made because we learned so much. We changed our business model. And that's when things like, focusing on community, on maybe have a bar, things like that started to show up. And then we made great connections, and that's where we got a chance to really lean into some of the other gaming store owners at Gamma that very much, the people that go to Gamma definitely like to share with each other what they're working on. And that especially at Gamma. So if you're thinking about having a gaming store or you have one, you've not gone to Gamma, I'm a huge advocate for Gamma because you're going to meet other people that are trying to do the things you're doing. Some of them have been doing it for a long time. And, I've been in business a long time, and I know that People that are doing things right, you should just adopt best practice. And so that's kind of what we try to do.
I've heard a lot of positive things about Gamma. And is it something that you see that grows every year? And do you continue seeing yourselves going to Gamma each year?
Oh yeah, I do. I see us going every year. Because now it's for us, it's evolving, right? So for the first couple of years, it was about learning. We still have a lot to learn, and I like to tell people we're getting better every day. You see us at our worst today, even though we're better than we were yesterday. So we want to continuously learn. However, now when we go to Gamut, it's not just about going to the seminars and learning from the awesome people that are there, but there's a lot of business meetings that I'm going to be having there too. So it's a very good business connection because all the industry's there. So you get a chance to sit in person with people you normally don't get a chance to meet with in person. And at Gamma, you get a chance to do that. So we're in the process right now of lining up numerous meetings with other businesses, distributors, partners, and I'm really looking forward to it. And then again, we get a chance to speak at Gamma, and Gamma's it's been a great environment for us. And so I would highly recommend it.
I'm very happy to hear that, and I'm glad to hear you're getting to speak at it too. Can you give a little bit of a teaser about what is your main topic?
Sure. So we're going to have two presentations. The first one is it's the Silver Dragon journey. It's how Gamma influenced who we are as Silver Dragon. And honestly, a lot of what I've talked about in the journey that we're going on was heavily influenced by the people that we met at Gamma. We sat down and talked to them about business models and how to run the businesses the right way. Are our theories about a community space, about kind of our fee models and things like that, did they make sense? And we learned a lot and we pivoted because of that. So we're just going to talk about how our business model changed. And then, we were privileged to be recognized last year. We won 2 of the 4 Power Retail Awards at Gamma. We won Innovation in Gaming, and we won Outstanding Gaming Store Design. Being a store open as short a period of time as we have been to, won 2 of those awards was really, for us, an honor. And so we're happy to go back and give back because we've gotten so much out of Gamma.
That's great to hear. Yeah, it's always great to give back, especially when it's done so much for you. Is there any other conventions out there outside of Gamma that you seek to go to, whether it be to vend, to get the name out about the store or anything like that? Or is it something you currently do now in any capacity?
So I would say for us, we don't really travel as a store. Now I go to PAX. That was a great event. I've been to Gen Con. So I've been to several and I'm going to continue to do that. And those are good networking opportunities, but they're also just great events. But for us locally, it's Phoenix Fan Fusion is the big event for us. And we're working very closely with our friends at Fan Fusion to elevate the gaming experience at Fan Fusion so that it's just because Fan Fusion, it's basically the Comic-Con, even though they can't call it that anymore. It's the Comic-Con Phoenix, and they'll have 60,000 people at that event this year. It's a huge event. The cosplay is amazing. The games are amazing, but it's more of a pop culture event. It's more like a Comic-Con. However, they do have a huge gaming hall, and we're going to go this year. We're going to step up as a sponsor. So we're going to sponsor the show. We're going to significantly increase our presence at Fan Fusion. We're going to bring a team of Silver Dragon DMs to Fan Fusion to help run D&D at Fan Fusion, create experiences for players. I was talking to one of the heads of Fan Fusion the other day, and basically, me and my family have been going to Fan Fusion for probably 15 years, and
wow,
we love the event. There's a lot of memories that you make by going to Fan Fusion, especially with the kids, and we want to help create that. We want the experience of coming to visit Silver Dragon at Fan Fusion or playing in a D&D game with one of the Silver Dragon DMs or just helping expand that community place at Fan Fusion to become a core memory for people. Because I know for me, that's how, when I think about Fan Fusion, I think about the memories I had with the families we went with, my friends, and we just had a great time. And I want to continue to help elevate that. They have big plans, and I want to help be part of that. So for us, it's going to be Fan Fusion. Like I said, we don't really travel to other shows as a vendor very much. It's more about focusing on our local community. But we definitely want to go play and have a good time at Fan Fusion.
And you mentioned Dungeons and Dragons there. I know you had noted that that's your favorite game. What is it about that game that draws you to it, and has gotten your wife involved in it? What is it that about that game that you think appeals to so many people, and what about it appeals to you specifically?
Yeah, I would say so. When I think about favorite game, it just depends on kind of when, right? So
Mhm.
right now, for sure, I'm leaning into D&D, but I also play Warhammer. I've played Magic. You name it, I've played it. Gaming is just something I've done. I've painted, several thousand miniatures, and so it's just something I enjoy. And I would say that certainly I introduced Debbie to D&D, but the rumor is I've been playing since 1980, but now Debbie plays so much D&D that if you measured the hours she played now and the hours I've played since 1980, she's actually outplayed me now. So that's kind of the rumor on the street. But I think for me, the attraction to D&D is the ability to sit around a table and do storytelling with a group of people. And the amount of imagination people can put into their characters and show up at a table and then create a shared experience that the dungeon master is guiding that experience. I enjoy being a DM a lot and creating stories and creating just really fun journeys that are challenging. And it's all to me about making sure our players have fun. Like when I'm running the game, it's all about the players have a great time, but when they're done, they're like, oh my God, we almost all died. You did the thing, and that was amazing. And then they get the heroic moments, and you just see everybody just leave the game buzzed about what happened, and they talk about it for days afterwards. That's when you know you're making an impact, and that's the fun of D&D, because D&D is all about that. And then because it's an immersive campaign for a long period of time, it can go on for a long time in a campaign game. Or there's multiple ways to just bring different people together. And that's what we're doing in the store is we're running different kind of game types with D&D. So our D&D game day, we'll have 22 games, 140 people. Those are all one shots. You come in, sign up for a game, you can play, and you don't have to be in a campaign. You can just play a D&D game day. But we also have a social Saturday night called Drinking and Dragons now. And you come in on that, and like we just did that last Saturday night, and it was a disco theme. And so all the games were based on disco, right? And all the DMs were dressed up like 70s outfits, of which I grew up in. I've seen some of the pictures, and it's horrifying. But and then all the games were themed that way. At Christmas, it was your favorite Christmas villain, and so all the D&D games were Christmas movies and Christmas movie villains, and and my son and some of the other DMs dressed up like the folks from Die Hard because that was the movie some of them decided to run, and it was just fun. So it doesn't have to be a hardcore campaign game. It can also be an evening of sitting around a table with some friends or people you've never met before, and having a fun Saturday night playing in a silly game of D&D with some people dressed up like disco people, and it's just fun.
You mentioned storytelling of D&D being one of the, factors that draw you in. I would almost say that being a game store owner in a way is being a storyteller in the same way with how you go about laying out the store, how you curate the games that are in the store, just the environment of it. Would you agree with that? Do you see yourself as a storyteller in helping, facilitate what goes on in the store and how the overall appeal is to it for people?
I think if you equate storytelling to going on a journey, then I would agree with you. I think as you what we try to do is you come into the store, you go on this journey of I'm looking for this particular game, or I'm looking for this particular miniature, and I want to paint. And we have painting on a Thursday night, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to paint with some friends. I'm doing this thing I'm working on. I'm extending my individual journey of gaming, whether it's learning some new game system, like a new role-playing game, and playing Savage Worlds, or playing Magic the Gathering, or whatever it is. You're going on a journey, and that journey tends to, with us, it tends up with meeting new people, playing with new people, making friends, learning more about whatever this thing is you love. If you jump into Warhammer, I mean, that's 40 years of lore. There's a lot in that. That's a deep pool that you jump into. And there's lots of people that are happy to help share what they know, show kind of what they've done, and take you on your journey as well. So I think that is as a game store owner, it's fun to create those opportunities for people to find things they get really excited and passionate about. And, there's been several people that come in our store that, you wouldn't peg them as a traditional gamer, but they're like, I've always wanted to play whatever it is. I just never knew how to get into the game itself. Warhammer is a good example of that. People like, because it seems very daunting to get into Warhammer. But we're like, we'll come in on a Saturday, we'll set up a teaching game, we'll teach you how to play. And the next thing you know, they're in one of our leagues or whatever and having a great time. And they jump off the deep end, right? And you see the passion ignite, as soon as somebody, especially, in any of these things, like where they're collecting any of the stuff that's coming in, they want to build, whether it's the army or they want to build their decks. As soon as they get that spark and that passion and they start the excitement of the newness, it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, there's no going back at that point, right?
No, there's kind of not. That's why you asked me what my favorite game is. That's the thing. It's just like, oh yeah, because everybody wants me to play everything in the store, and I just, I've played most of them, but I don't have time to go deep into any of them. It's hard to do. People tell me the game I'm playing is the gaming store game, and they're probably right.
We're going to take a quick break from this podcast to talk about our sponsor, Cardboard Shuffle. Cardboard Shuffle was our 10th podcast interview here at the Match Slip with store owner Mark. Mark has expanded his brand and has produced his own card sleeves called Shuffle Shields. Shuffle Shields come in packs of 100 premium matte card sleeves for standard size trading cards. They contain no PVC and are acid free. I have 17 packs of Shuffle Shields card sleeves to give away to listeners of the podcast and followers of the Match Slip on social media. Requests for a free pack of card sleeves shipped for free to you will be processed on a first-come, first-served basis. To receive your free pack of Shuffle Shields, you'll need to send a screenshot that you're following Cardboard Shuffle on Facebook to frank@thematchslip.com. How long did the decor take to build out the overall aesthetic of the store?
Well, in the grand scheme of things, the construction wasn't very long. I would say it was probably a 6 to 8 month design and build process. The build being 3 or 4 months of that, right? So, and there were a lot of business things happening at the same time. But we started early design, early the year of 22, and you had to go through the blueprints, work with the interior designer, make the design decisions, and then if we wanted to bring something in, get the rights to it, bring it in, source the material. So there was a lot there, but we do a lot with just the way the store's laid out, and so it was a process. I mean, it took a while for us to do that, but once we got the pieces together, even when we opened, it wasn't done. We evolved after that, and that was fun. I look back at the pictures of the first day we opened the store, and we were so giddy and happy to be open. And I look and I go, "Oh my god, oh, did we really open the store? Oh man!"
Do you have to pinch yourself, like till this day, like to think, like you look at it and you're like, "Wow, this is something I built with my family."
Yeah. I mean, it's when I see what we've been able to accomplish in really a short period of time. And the delight that we have with people for the most part, because for the most part, people are wonderful, right? That come into our store, and I hear, the appreciation of people now being able to come and find a place that they just feel comfortable in, and it doesn't matter what they're playing. I'm hearing it in all of our segments, and that's been great. And the fact that Debbie and Mike and a lot of our extended family have been able to be part of it. My granddaughter came down. We did, she hung out with us for a week in the store. Thought it was fantastic, and it's just been fun. My daughter worked in the store for a while. That's been really good. But the staff is also the people that we've been able to surround ourselves with and hire and bring in. We have a recruiting process with one of the local art schools. So it's a digital art school. There are a lot of film students, and that's been great. So it's just all about getting the right people in there that want to engage with customers, bring a high level of energy, and pretty much everybody that comes in and works for us, they're gamers, but they're not gamers first. They're just great, engaging people that have good charisma first. They're also gamers, right? So for us, it's all about the ability to talk to people, engage with people, listen. What would you like? Not even sure what this is. Well, tell me a little bit about kind of what kind of movies do you, you like that? What do you think about this? Oh yeah, that looks kind of fun. Right? Do you have kids? Whatever it is. It's just talking to people.
How many employees do you have?
Right now we're probably running 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. We invest a lot in our staff. We want to make sure we have a good amount of people in the store. And because it's important to take care of the community, right? Especially when we're running big complex events, which we do a lot of. We want to make sure we've got plenty of support in there. Whether it's, we've got somebody running the card event and the bar and a couple people in retail. And so you just got to make sure you got all the bases covered. There's also a lot that happens behind the scenes, right? So there's a lot of behind the curtain stuff you have to do. I'm a big operational process person. And so there's a lot of planning. There's a lot of, making sure that, I like to say, we have to make our mistakes where customers can't see them. And then when it's playtime, when it's go time, then we do things really well. And even then, we're very critical on how we do things, right? We have events that go off, and we've been doing D&D Game Day now for almost 2 years. And every time we do a D&D Game Day, we do a debrief. How do we do? How can we do it better? Did sign-ups open okay? Did we get enough DMs on time? What can we do better? And we refine it all the time. We do that in all the things that we do. And we just find ourselves getting better and better and better. But then the staff's like, well, but you're just going to raise the bar. And I'm like, yeah, I'm always going to raise the bar because we can always get better.
Is it nerve-wracking running a big operation like you have?
For me, no, because my background is I used to work for the third largest payment network in the world, and I ran the operations team on that. So I've had a lot of experience. For a lot of my staff, it is. Some of my team, this is new to them. And thinking about how to run big events, big processes that you have to do perfectly is hard. And there's a lot of stress there. But we're also very good about, teaching and nurturing. And we've set up our processes so really, even if something goes badly, we can fix it and move on. There's nothing going to break the entire store. We haven't set anything up where we're so risky that thing breaks, we're done. That's it. No, we're not going to do that.
How are the responsibilities divvied out amongst the employees?
Well, that's a great question. So again, if you think about the different segments, so we've got kind of a head of our operational team that he's now kind of picked up the reins to run store operations, which is bringing in inventory, making sure things get priced and put out on the shelves. We've got our storage facility set up now, so making sure all that works, making sure that we're show ready. I like to say we have to be show ready by 5:30 so that when the 6 o'clock games come in, it looks great in there. So we've got somebody now key and focused just on that. We have somebody who's focused on event management. So you think about a lot of the different complex events that we run across the card game systems and the role playing games, the Warhammer games. There's a lot of complexity. And we have to have somebody kind of keep that world straight. And we manage a lot of that in our Discord. And so there's a lot of Discord management that goes along with that. And then we've got a sales and marketing person that focuses in on our social media campaigns, our marketing campaigns, and really helps train the team on how to engage and sell in the store. Sales is kind of part of what we do. And merchandising and sales strategies, things like that.
What are you seeing are the most popular games from a gameplay standpoint, and maybe something that has caught you by surprise in terms of something selling well that you may not have anticipated?
I think for us, and I'll kind of do it by segment.
Okay.
Board games, we leaned into board games early on, and board games have been a good staple for us, but they never took off, right? So we are a full line gaming store, right? So we do have a full line game of board games, and they're good, but it's not the segment that I thought it was going to be. So that was a bit of a surprise. On the role playing side, we got a lot of people telling us that role playing is not a place that you can make money at. And I love it when people tell me I can't do something. And so what we found in the role playing segment is it's not about the player buying a book and never buying anything else. It's about creating an experience so that they want to get a new set of dice, because being a dice goblin is a real thing, or a dice tray, or the accessories that go along with being. There's so many cool things now that you can use the miniatures to augment the player side of role playing. And there are 10 times more players than there are game masters. And then at the same time, you're supporting all the game masters. And so creating a full line of product around role playing systems has been really good for us. And then when you think about cards, the Magic's a staple, and it continues to grow and be very steady for us. The Pokemon kind of has done this, but it's always been popular. But it's crazy popular right now, and it usually gets super popular. We've only been doing this for a couple of years, but I've seen this twice now in the cycle, where the release kind of runs out, and then the cards evaporate from the marketplace, and people start getting frenzied, and that's kind of where we're at right now. And then, of course, Warhammer is very steady for us. So, the emergence of a game like Lorcana, and then what's its life cycle going to look like, has been very interesting. We learned that if we can't capture the community early, we're probably not going to do great in the segment. And we were able to do that with Lorcana. And we haven't been able to do that with a couple of the other new game systems, the card games that have come out. I think some of the surprises to the downside are that, you go to a thing like Gamma and you see the big games coming out, and the number of big games that just didn't work for us. And I'm sure they're working in other stores, they just didn't work for us, was a bit surprising. So you invest, and then it doesn't really take off, and so you got to figure out what to do with that investment.
It's interesting how sometimes you hear games not working in a particular market. Magic seems to be universal. I wonder if you could speak to why that turns out to be the case in some scenarios. Like, for example, Pokemon may work really well at one store in terms of a player base, but then in another store, it's purely just collectors, people just collecting the cards. I've always been kind of fascinated at the notion of how some games don't hit in every market, even though the game is out there for anybody to bring in, but it may not hit in that particular market. What have you noticed from your interactions with people at Gamma, and just from on your end with your own store?
I think there's an A and B the way I think about that, right? So on the A side, we talk about this all the time. We win where we focus, right? And so if we don't have a passionate focus on something and a good strategy, we're probably not going to grow it to a level that's really sustainable, right? And that means we'll miss some opportunities for sure. But the other side is it's the number of there's just this immersion of game products that come out, and some of them have very big backers, and some of them get a lot of press. Not all of them hit, and and so I think for us we have a finite amount of focus, and so we want to make sure we go where we know we're going to do well, and that's where we put our energy, because we don't have infinite resource, and so it's really staying focused on the areas where we play to our strengths basically, and I see some, like when I go to Gen Con, you're like, wow, there's a lot of people playing that, but there's nobody playing that in my store. And a lot of that is, you go to a national event, people from all over the country are there. And so certainly there's going to be a lot of people playing something. But that also means there's pockets in different marketplaces where there's just a group of people that love that, and there's a focus in that store, and they're able to nurture that community. And I think that's how things work really well within the gaming space. At least that's been my experience so far. And I'm sure, we could do better on marketing. We can do better. But again, we have a good sized store. I mean, if we do a second Silver Dragon, which I get asked that all the time, when we're going to do another one, it would be about twice the size of what we have right now, because we outgrew our store really, really fast. And that's great. It's a good problem to have. But if I had twice the play space, I could do more. But would I really hit in all these different categories and segments? I don't know. Again, I think it all depends on the focus.
You talked about raising the bar earlier too, and having another store, that would be a phenomenal thing. It's always great to see when stores open up another location. Things are going well, and things are seems to be going very well with what you're doing at your store currently. And with going back to your comment about raising the bar with your existing store, what does that look like? Like, what are some of the types of things you're doing right now that you either want to see improved, or any aspiration that you have that's currently maybe on the ground floor?
Well, we talk about, so it starts with, what's the overall goal for the store for the year strategically, right? So where do we want to be, right? And I like to think of things from a business perspective. We want to be able to grow the business to a certain level. In order to do that, then what segments do we have opportunities to be able to meet those growth goals? And so we have to really drill into what are the constraints that we're seeing in those areas that are holding us back. Do we have the capacity to be able to, grow that segment to that level that we need to be successful? Or do we need to consider other opportunities and revenue streams that would help us meet this top line goal? So that's kind of one thing. On the customer side, it's always, always, always about making sure there's just a fantastic customer experience. And anywhere we see that not being true, we want to focus and fix that. And I'm happy to say that for the most part, we have very, very happy community. And when they're not, we lean in, we find out why, and we try to fix that. And, sometimes it's because we made an operational mistake, and we always own everything. I'm upfront and transparent about everything. If a new release didn't come out on time because we didn't get it, I'm just going to tell the community why. What happened? Was it us? Did we not order it? Like in this case right now, we had a distributor not get it to us in time. And so I'm just always very honest with our community about, here's where we're at. And then we're going to fix it and make it right? But, we always want to keep our word. So it's about refining your customer experience so that always gets better and better and better and better. A good example of that's the improvements we've made in the D&D segment, where we've introduced new game segments, types, social events, different ways of playing, DM workshops, teaching people how to play. We're just refining that entire space, and we're seeing that pay off right down the road. And that's true in all of the segments. We know we have certain physical constraints just in the size of the play space of what we can do. We want to maximize every opportunity. So we're now looking at things like, there's times when the store's not full because people are at work. Are there ways to take advantage of that play space during off hours? And so now we're looking at more business meetings and things like that. And we've already started that this year. So corporate, small business events are going to be something we're going to focus on. And I think we've already got good traction there. So that's the kind of stuff that I think about.
Is there anything on the flip side of that where, something that hasn't worked to the way that you expected it to be?
I'm sure there's a lot of that. I mean, we pivot all the time. I'm not somebody that just stands still, right? And that's why it's all about incremental improvement. If something's not working, we ask, why is it not working? A good example of that is the staff's not keen on having New Year's Eve, 4th of July parties, things like that on the day of the holidays. And we tried it a couple of times, couldn't figure out the model. It didn't work from a business perspective, so we stepped away from it. And it's being able to realize that that's not worth our energy. Let's put our energy over here where it will make a difference, and pivot. And so we pivot a lot. And that's all part of continuous improvement.
I think the concept of pivoting is very critical in business, and it's almost like not tying your emotion to something that you say want to work so bad, and you're
Right.
seeing it not work, and you get stuck in that mode. What do you think enables you? Because I could tell just from hearing you describe it. What makes it easy for you to pivot? Like to say, because you might have somebody else on the other opposite side of the coin that they get tied to an idea and they can't let it go. What is it for you that makes it easy? Like you see a situation, it's not working the way. Okay, we're going to make this change.
Well, it just comes down to you just have an honest conversation about the facts of what's going on, right? You have to create an environment with your team so we can have those honest conversations. Because, like the example of the New Year's Eve party, I was the one who was like, guys, we have a great store. We should be able to kill it on a New Year's Eve. Why is this not working? And I was the one that had to finally go, okay, we haven't figured this out, so it's not worth the energy. Let's step away from doing those kind of events and invest in other places. But we have to be honest with the results, right? And then make an honest attempt to put the right amount of energy into fixing it. Now, if it's not a big issue, it's not like a big revenue generator, you shouldn't put a massive amount of investment of time and energy into it. And I think it's about being honest with the priority. How important is this in the overall picture? Because everybody has the things they love. Everybody, especially in gaming. I mean, it's like that, everybody has their favorite thing or their favorite product that they just love so much. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and we want to be rational about the business facts of what's going on. And then it's also about the community. What does the community want? Because at the end of the day, we're here to serve the community. And if the community wants to do a thing, we should work hard to try to make that happen. So, and that's for me how the pivoting becomes very easy. Plus, I also know that you can make incremental gains by taking a step to the left. Or you're just really good at Rocky Horror Picture Show.
This episode of The Match Slip is sponsored by Crash CityCon, Roanoke, Virginia's premier gaming and fan convention. It's tabletop gaming at its best in addition to role-playing games, board games, there are vendors, and so much more. Play with some of the top game masters in the area, enjoy a casual game in their open gaming area, or learn to play games you always wanted to play. You could check out more information at crashcitycon.com. I like your emphasis on the community there and recognizing, doing essentially what they want. That's what keeps a store in business. That's what keeps the people happy. And to that point, I liked what I saw on your website is you do have a parties tab menu on the website. And is that just for people's birthdays, or do you do like any type of celebration?
It's funny because we give, when you come to the store, we give tours. So I've probably given 1,000 tours of the store. Right? Walk around and show you all things. We always end up in the party room. And what I talk about is, we do birthday parties. We do great birthday parties for kids. But we do more big kid parties than we do little kid parties. Because it's such a great space to have a wonderful event. And so, it can be a birthday party. It can be, some kind of anniversary. It could be a going away party. It doesn't matter. If you want to have a party, we have the place for you. And it's a great place. And we could let you use the amazing room, or we could rent out the entire store. And we've had somebody rent out half the store for a party. And they had a great time.
That's really cool. I just like the whole concept of that. It adds just, I'm actually like half surprised that it would be just, bigger kids like you were saying, but is that like from like the card game standpoint, or is that just like an overall around in general?
So we do a lot of kids' birthday parties. We had some over the weekend where, the 8-year-old or the 9-year-old, and we have for the kids, we've got a really nice system of when the mom comes in or the dad, whoever's organizing the party, will work with them because we want to do all the work for them, right? We want to make it very easy. If you pick Silver Dragon as the place to have your 9-year-old little girl's birthday party, what does she love? Does she love Pokemon? Does she love, fantasy, and we can do a D&D thing? We've even had a sword fighting event at birthday party because I do kids sword fighting. I used to be a competitive sword fighter back in the day. So every kind of winter break here in Arizona, we take the kids out for 2 months and we do sword fighting. And we're in the middle of sword season right now. And so, it's really whatever they want to do. They want to be board games. It's just some kind of gaming theme that we'll do. But we want to do all the work for, the party organizer, the parent, and just create an easy, yep, we're going to do this party. I want it to be a D&D game. We'll provide a DM. They'll show up in a costume. We'll run the game. We'll bring characters if they need it. If they don't know how to play, that's okay, because we'll make it easy and show them. And we'll tune it up or down based on whoever is in the party, right? So if it's 8-year-olds, then it's an 8-year-old D&D game. If it's, adults and they know how to play D&D and they have a thing they want to do, then we'll do that. And we'll actually make, we've done this where we had somebody that it was a going away event, and they had lost a friend who had died. And they shared that. My son was running the game, and they shared that with him. And he weaved a very, very heartfelt moment into the game for them that group understood. And they've been talking about that game ever since. So those are kind of, you just want to make those memorable moments. And we'll do that with the parties, right, where it's just fun. But it's about us doing the work, and it's about creating a fun experience. And especially for the kids, we have a moment where we'll take the party out into the main room where we've got 2 thrones set up next to a fireplace, and the birthday child gets to sit in a throne, put a crown on, they all surround them, and the whole store recognizes the birthday child as the hero of the Silver Dragon, and they get a scroll, and it's a big deal, and it's fun. And the children, of course, have no idea it's coming.
I think it's great that, the effort that you take for these parties to, pretty much take all the concern out of the person who's wanting to have the party there. You take care of all of it for them. I think that's just a great, precedent to set for not only the employees at your store, but just for the customers that are coming to you wanting to have it there. I think it's just a great initiative, and I just want to commend you for that.
Well, thank you. No, it's about serving the customer, right? If we can make it easy for the mom, then the mom is going to want to come in and have the party. We'll even go as far as having a concierge shopping service for the mom. If there's a list of things that she wants to buy for the child, we'll buy them in the store, add it to their invoice. We'll have them wrap them on the table from her to the child when she comes in.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. Can you describe, Scott, so if I walk into the store for the first time, as best as you can, if you could describe what the layout looks like of it, just to give people listening or watching an idea of what the overall look is?
Yeah. So when you come in, the first thing you're going to see is the retail space is very open. We have rows of different products. So you'll have on the left side will be our Warhammer section, up the middle of the board games, and on the right side is this really fun D&D section. But what you will have noticed before you got in the store was in the window is all the plush beasts, all the squishables, all the great stuffed animals just waiting for you to take them home. And as you come in the store, one of the first things that's going to happen is we're going to say hello. We're going to wave, we're going to say hi, we may even walk over and start talking to you. And then as you look to the back of the store, on the left side you're going to see a 15-foot tall ancient silver dragon with a strong female hero flying over top of the dragon. And over to the right, you're going to see the fireplace with a stone fireplace, 2 thrones, custom gaming tables in the back. And a lot of people go, what is that? And so they wander back and they start looking, and you look to the right and you see the tavern. And there's the bar and all the mead laid out. And then on the left in the back is this immersive party room that's got one of the coolest murals you've ever seen, with probably 20 different stories incorporated in it, and it's all dragons and strongmen. And it's beautiful. And so you just, you'll notice the aisles are wide, the store is clean, our front floor is almost like a glassy stone finish. You see the custom gaming tables in the back. You look to your left and you see, the lark swords up on the wall. So we've done a lot with our theming and decor. To the right is the cash wrap, and you'll see, our cases full of cards. We have the most amazing dice that you've probably seen in a long time. But behind the cash wrap is probably a 10-foot tall picture of a dragon on a mural.
Oh, that's cool.
So we just have all kinds of cool cool things in the store, and there's whether we've got a pseudo dragon hanging out, or we've got a mimic chest that's about this big, or all the cool things. They're all over the place, and it's fun. Like I said, we have armor, dragons, and sort of my in the back of the store is a set of chainmail and armor that I actually fought in for a decade. Is in the store.
That's awesome. I mean, you've certainly sold me, Scott. I'm very much looking forward to coming down to visit.
Well, you're welcome anytime, Frank. We would love to have you come in. We'll host you, and you and I can sit down and have a glass of meat.
I greatly appreciate it. Before we close out this episode, my final question for you is there something that you, it could be a future aspiration for the store. It could be something that, could be way far off, or something that you see in the near future of a goal that you look forward to seeing the store accomplish at some point?
I think for me, it's to continue to make sure that the customers that come into our store, and certainly down the road, because we have multiple Silver Dragon games, that would be amazing. But for now, we're going to focus on the one. I just want to continue to see people have a great time in the store. And I want to see it continue to be healthy and grow. And those two things are important. We can grow and it not be a healthy store. I want it to be strong and fun, and 30 years from now, I want people to still be hanging out playing in Silver Dragon. And that's really what we're trying to do.
That's a great legacy to have.
And it's a generational thing. We're starting to see that now with some of our young heroes that are doing sword fighting again. Already see they've been with us now for 3 sword seasons, and a couple of them are getting old enough where they won't be able to come back next year. But in a couple of years, I see them working in the store, and seeing these generations of kids come into the store, love the store, grow up in the store. 10 years from now, you'll see that. That's the kind of stuff I want to see.
Absolutely. Well, Scott, I appreciate you coming on the show. This is a lot of fun. Loved hearing about everything that you're doing. Before we sign off here, is there anywhere you'd like to direct people listening or watching to this too, so they could check out more information about your store?
So certainly you can check out the store on silverdragongamesaz.com, but we also have a dice website. So it's silverdragondice.com. If you go out to silverdragondice.com, you're going to see amazing sets of dice, some really cool dice towers and accessories. That's a great place to just go get some fun, just ignite the dice goblin in you. And everything we do, we've personally curated. So it's great. That's a great place to go. So I would direct them to go to either one of those places.
Awesome. I'll be sure to link off both of those places. The Dice Goblin, I like that. That's great.
Yeah. Well, and you never know. We might show up nationwide with that program. So that's something we're talking about. Everybody needs great dice, and I hear it in the store all the time. Do I need more dice? And the answer is, did you need any dice? No. But do you want more dice? You bet. And by the way, I got a new set of dice. And then I hear the same thing over and over again. Scott, I love you and hate you at the same time. Now I have to buy more dice.
That's great. Well, Scott, thank you very much again for coming on. I appreciate it.
Hey, Frank, thank you very much for the opportunity.